YouTube, Luminous Star here. Welcome to my channel, Luminous Star. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. And to my current subscribers who are my stars, thank you so much for your subscription. In today's video, please at the end of the video, hit the like and or subscription button, send me comments, and also, leave me comments and send me questions to my email, which is located in the About section of my channel. I also have a website, and if you visit my website, please sign the guest book. All right, I would love to have you drop by and see me at the website. All right, here we go. Today's video is going to be about self-regulatory processes. Okay, now what is that? That is pretty much the start of trauma recovery, and I'm going to be going over 3 tools as well as 3 points with you guys in this video. And mind the description box. In the description box, I'm going to have a little bit more information in there for further research. And again, it's only a suggestion. You don't have to do this, but I hope you do, because I have found this information years ago. I found this information to be very helpful. And I also have this as a part of my support base, which is I do research to help me to learn more about those things that I've gone through. Okay, some of those traumatic experiences. All right, so here we go. Strap on your seatbelts. All right, guys, if you guys heard something in this video that I say, and you know that maybe there's a little bit more to it, or maybe you think of something that you have learned, please don't hesitate to put it in the comment section. All right, because like you, I'm here on the planet to learn. Okay, I do not know it all. I'm on this journey, okay? And I'm learning as I go along. So basically, all of my videos is for me to just share. I'm really just sharing a lot of things that I've learned, okay? So I like to do that. I've always been like that. Like if I learn something, I like to share it. So this is basically, in all of my videos on this channel, I am sharing information. I am not a licensed healthcare professional. Okay, so I'm just sharing with you guys some of the things that I've learned on my journey to the road to recovery, okay, from trauma. And this is something that I think that a lot of people are looking for right now. Anyway, I'm talking about the information. They're looking for the information because they want to understand more about what ails them or what they're going through, right? Whether it be PTSD, complex PTSD, dealing with trauma, childhood abuse, domestic violence. We want to learn more. This is the information age. So we want to learn more about what is going on with us so we can be more educated about it, so we can deal with it more effectively. Now, I wanted to say all that. Okay, I know that was a mouthful, but I wanted to say all that because I'm getting a sense that some who are leaving comments, I don't think that they're getting what my channel is all about. But see, that's where the About section of my channel, that's there, and everyone is welcome to read it. So, I'm not trying to be insulting. However, I just want to say that, I think that most of you who are looking at me, you get what my channel is about. But I'm getting a few comments, and I don't think they know what my channel is about. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Welcome to the Luminous Star channel, and I hope you guys come back and see me again. All right, here we go. All right. Okay, self-regulatory processes, okay, and as that pertains to trauma recovery. I'm going to go over the points first. I'm probably not going to give a lot of examples in this one, but if one pops into my head, I'll just spit it out. But basically, I'm going to be sharing 3 tools and 3 points. Point number 1, okay, the limbic system of the brain. Okay, now this is where we have the amygdala and the hippocampus. Okay, the amygdala, what the amygdala does is it records. What that does, it records all of it, or it just keeps record of all of our experiences, right? This is what the amygdala does. It records and keeps record of all of our experiences, whether they were pleasant or unpleasant. Okay, the hippocampus, what that does is it records all of the experiences we've had. Now, this is where it's different. The hippocampus It doesn't care anything about the emotions. This is just facts. So the hippocampus, even though it records, all of the facts, it can be pleasant or unpleasant. So this is where the hippocampus comes in. It doesn't care anything about emotions. It only keeps records of the facts. Whereas the amygdala also, it records the emotion, like whatever you felt. For instance, somebody who is, no, that's something else. My bad. Anyway, the amygdala, what that does is that also records pleasant and unpleasant experiences. Okay, now that one does have to do with the emotions. Okay, whereas the hippocampus doesn't care anything about emotions. Okay, now the somatic markers. Somatic is the body. So what the somatic markers do, or you can say body markers, is it keeps record of all the experiences that the body has felt. All the experiences of the body. It keeps record of that. Pleasant and unpleasant. Okay, there you go. So we have the amygdala, the somatic markers, and the hippocampus. All right. Now, with the hippocampus, I want to go ahead, because this is what I was trying to remember. The hippocampus, since it doesn't deal with the emotions, it only deals with facts. Say, for instance, you're on the phone and somebody on the other line, on the other end of the phone, you haven't seen or heard from them in 30 years, right? But you remember them. So when you hear the voice, you remember. This is where the campus comes in. It helps us. Okay, but this is another thing the hippocampus does. It also guides us in our decision making. This is what the hippocampus does. So all three of those things, when they take a hit due to trauma, because all three of those sections take a hit, so they are severely impaired due to trauma. Okay, so when that happens, the decision making is also impaired. Okay, so what are the key things in decision making? Is being mindful of the body as well as the emotional body. You have to be aware of your emotional body in order to make an effective decision. You have to be aware of your emotional body, and you have to be aware, you just have to be mindful, basically. So when the trauma happens, what that does is that freezes us almost like in time. The traumatic events or the traumatic event could have happened 20 years ago. But your body right now, your mind and your body is in a state of, oh my goodness, something's getting ready to happen. So this is why sometimes we're hypervigilant and we're in that survival mode 24/7, and we're just in that fight and flight all the time. This is highly stressful on the mind and the body. That's because we're not supposed to be like that. But when trauma happens, it disrupts a lot of things, the mind and the body. Okay, so the traumatic event has us stuck almost like in time. This is why a lot of us seemingly are living in the past. It's hard for us to be in the present moment. It's because we're still where the traumatic event happened. I'm talking about mindfully, not necessarily physically, but in our minds, we're still back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when the traumatic event or events took place. So this is how trauma affects us. It's kind of like we're stuck in time. Okay, and so when we're stuck in time like that, we're not necessarily mindful of we're not mindful. I'm just going to put it right there. We're not necessarily mindful. Our emotions, we don't really know how we feel. Not necessarily. We're not really, keen on how we feel. Not really. So when the traumatic event happens, we're stuck, we're frozen in that time period, and we're stuck there. So no matter how many years go by, it's like we're stuck when the traumatic event happened, even though we may have packed up and moved from the place where the traumatic event happened. We may have gone on and had more relationships, but I hope you guys are getting the picture. It's like we're still stuck there. And so we're in that fight and flight mode all the time. We're in survival mode all the time. We're hyper vigilant. And here's the other thing that is very interesting that trauma seems to do to us. And that is, even though sometimes our bodies feel like whatever took place 20 years ago is happening at this moment. You know, we may be having a panic attack. We may be, sweating profusely and sweating palms and cold, clammy hands. And, we're just going through it. We're having this panic attack. The things that our bodies were feeling, the thoughts that were racing through our minds during the traumatic event 30 years ago, is like right now we're feeling that. But when somebody asks us to describe what's going on with us today at this moment, this is where some of us fail. Okay, we're not able to give a narrative of what happened. We really can't go through verbally what happened, but our bodies are having that panic attack. See, we're reacting to what happened 30 years ago, but we're not necessarily able to talk about it. Okay, and again, that's due to the limbic system of the brain being impaired. All three of those sections I went over with you guys. Please check it out in the description box so you can get a clearer picture of what I'm talking about. Okay, so all of that is how trauma affects us. Okay, so it is not, and I can remember actually this was years ago, and I remember somebody asking me to talk about what I had gone through, and I wasn't able to do it, but my body was feeling what was going on, the stress, emotional stress. My body was reacting to it. Okay, but I wasn't able to sit down and talk to somebody. I wasn't able to give them a narrative, a clear or concise, coherent narrative. I could not do it. I couldn't do it, but my body was feeling all these things. Okay, so I hope this is making sense to you guys and explain. I just wanted to talk about, this is why it seems like some of us live in the past, no matter how many years go by. It's like we're stuck in this mode, and it's like we can't get out. So I just really wanted to break that down. That's the effects of trauma. So adequate self-regulatory processes. Okay, trauma recovery. Now we're getting to the tools. So I've already gone over the points. So let's go ahead and get to the tools. Tool number 1, write your epilogue. Write the epilogue to your story. Just you can start off with, I made it, because you're here now. The traumatic event that took place years ago, yeah, it's like it's in the past. You're here now. You're here today. So the first step to trauma recovery is to profess with your mouth, get that in your mind and in your heart, that you are here. You're alive. You have a clean slate. You can help yourself now. You can build a support base. Okay, matter of fact, that was one of my tools. Okay, so that's the first tool. Write the epilogue of your story, starting with you are here. Okay, because you made it. There's no need of continuing to keep yourself stuck in the past. I know, easier said than done. I know, but you can do it. So when you start writing the epilogue of your story, then you start feeling a little bit more positive about life. You start to look at yourself a lot differently. Okay? Now, I tried that one, and it helped me out a lot. When I went from just, telling myself, this is what happened to me, this is what happened to me, this is what happened to me, and I'm just stuck there, and I'm not mindful of the fact that, wait a minute, I'm here today. This happened 15 years ago, but I'm here today. So I started telling myself this. I'm here today. I started writing the epilogue of my story. I started to change my story. Not saying belittling what happened to me, but I hope you guys are getting this. It's like a lot of us, we get stuck in the past and we stay there. No matter how many years go by, we're still in the past. But when we start to fill our minds with, wait a minute, and we start professing with our mouths that, hey, I'm here today, then that can help us to start a whole new world. A whole, you have a different outlook on life, and you feel like you can start over. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Step number 2. No, I'm sorry. Tool number 2. Okay, tool number 2. Become mindful of your body and your emotions. Just become mindful. You become mindful of how you feel and what you feel. Becoming mindful of how you think and what you think. Now, how do you do that? Start to journal. Start recording. Okay, your thoughts. You don't have to, or you can sit in front of your computer or your laptop and you start, doing your diary or your journal. That way you start to be more mindful of what you're thinking and how you're thinking. Okay, what you think and how you think. This is part of the mindful process. Okay, how do you feel when you get around a narcissist, or when you get around somebody from your past who has caused you trauma? Or when here's one that I did. I went back to one of the houses that I grew up in. I went back there because some very horrific things happened to me in a couple of those houses, right? I went back there, guys. I got in my car, I drove out, and I went back there. I even wrote a letter, and I went out to one of the houses. That was one of the most powerful things within that I ever did. It felt very powerful to me to do that. I actually sat down and I wrote a letter, like I might write you a letter. Okay, I wrote a letter. I went out to the house. Okay, I planned all of this. Went out to the house and I went there, and it was like, some people might say, okay, that's a ritual, but to me it was more like a memorial service, or a funeral. I was saying to that house, you no longer have any hold on me. Basically telling that aspect of my past, you have no hold on me anymore. So I felt free. After I wrote that letter, okay, went out to the house, and I left that letter there. I buried it there, along with that part of my past, and I was free. Okay, and I could feel it on the inside. I can feel it in my mind as well as in my core. I can feel it. I can feel that door unlocking, the key turning and the lock unlocking and that door opening. And I walked right through it. I felt like the whole world just was lifted off of my shoulders. So that is just one part I want to share with you guys that I actually did. It was very helpful, very powerful. Okay, so becoming mindful of what you're feeling is very important, and you can journal. You can write angry letters if you have to. You have to face that stuff. You have to get mindful about it. It's very important. So what you're feeling and how you're feeling. If you're getting around somebody from your past and it wasn't so great with you and that person, but when you get around them, your body is going to respond. That's a lot of stress on the body. It's going to respond. Whether you're mindful of it or not, it's going to respond. Because this is a person that caused you some harm, maybe 50 years ago, but they caused you a lot of harm. Your body remembers it. Remember I was talking about those somatic markers? That's what that is. Your body remembers what happens to it. So once you start getting in tune with yourself and you are mindful of what's going on and how your body feels, what your body is feeling and how it's feeling, and what you're thinking and how you're thinking, that's a game changer. That's a huge part of the regulatory processes, the self-regulatory processes. To break that down even further, that's part of the trauma recovery. But to break that down even further, that is also helping you to process trauma. It's helping you to process those traumatic experiences which will be stressful. You're able to process stressful events a lot better when you are mindful. It just goes hand in hand. So third and final tool, learn how to love yourself. Sounds simple, I know, maybe sound cliche, but you have to learn how to love yourself. Have a healthy lifestyle. Start a healthy lifestyle. Go out into nature. This is one of my favorite things to do, is to actually go out for a couple of hours, sometimes 3 hours. I am outdoors, out in nature, at the beach, at the park. Or I may go somewhere, where there's a camping ground and I'm just enjoying nature, just listening to the birds. I may be looking at, I might be out the beach and I'm looking at the sunset. I'm taking it all in. That's very cathartic and therapeutic for me, just to go out in nature as often as I can. So wherever that loving yourself looks like, draw up the blueprint for that. I don't know what that may be. Only you can answer that question. What is your blueprint of starting to love yourself? So those are my 3 tools, my 3 points, and please be mindful of the description box. Okay, now the points, you guys may have gotten a little lost on the points, but when I was going over these somatic markers and the amygdala and the hippocampus, those were my points right there, the 3 points right there. I didn't go into depth with those because it's in the description box. So please suggest it. I just want to suggest you look further into the part of the limbic system, the limbic system of the brain, because this has a whole lot to do with why we're feeling stuck all the time and why we seem to be living in the past when it comes to trauma, okay? And why we can't seem to talk about what happened to us, but our bodies are feeling it, and we have the memories, the flashbacks. See, all those, that part of the brain has a lot to do with that. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and come back and see me. Until next time, take care of yourself.